What's up, everyone? Scotty from Chernobyl Studios. Today we are going to look at the ENGL Artist Edition 100 watt with the stealth look with the actual brushed metal faceplate. I really love the way that this thing looks. Now, as you heard in the demo, obviously it is a black metal machine. Straight off the bat here, I think this amp is highly underrated. I don't know why people aren't talking about this amp, but I'm going to show you why this thing is a banger. And for example, if the Savage 120 that you see up here, if this is too much for you, like too many tone knobs and stuff like that, I can tell you straight out right now that the ENGL Artist is simplified, easier to deal with, but it brings the chugs, and I'm going to prove that to you now. Today, I'm going to play my BC Rich Junior V in drop A. The demo song that you heard was in standard E, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to show you two extremes. So you can have a great, amazing guitar tone in standard E for black metal, but I'm going to show you guys the amp now in drop A. Also, just so you know that I will tell you when the tube screamer is engaged. As it is right now, the tube screamer is not engaged, but I will let you know. So looking at the faceplate here again, very simple. Clean lead, bass, middle, treble, lead presence, lead volume, and two master gain knobs in conjunction with the low and high gain. There's a bright switch right here. There's a shape switch right here, or I should say a button. And then a gain, low, high, gain, lead, and then the low gain master buttons with the standby button and a power. Again, streamlined, easy, no problem. On the back, you have a noise gate, you've got an effects loop, all the things that you would expect to have from your high-end ENGL amps at this point. Spec-wise, your preamp tubes are going to be 12 AX7s with 4 EL34s in this particular unit. Now, I did bring up the website because I want to dispel some myths straight away. I actually got an email from EuroBass. So there are a couple of myths going around on the internet that the Artist Edition is just the Blackmore. Not true. The Artist Edition was inspired by the Blackmore, but they are not the same amp at all, not even close. The whole idea was the Artist Edition was originally developed for Doug Aldrich with a basic simple amp design like the Blackmore. So that's why the comparisons are happening. But totally new preamp section, which I just told you about, with the EL34 power amp instead, because Doug wanted to have a more British sound. So that is the idea of where this amp came from. So it is not at all just the Blackmore without the name. That's not true. Over the years, we've had Gary Moore, Jimmy Page, who had KT88, Paul Stanley, Ken Hammer, Scott Gorheim, and it sat in the LA showroom for a long time. So this is just supposed to be a straight to the point metal banger, just to get great easy tones with an amp that's easy to work with. And I'm going to show you that right now. So again, we're just going to start on the clean channel here, which I've got on the clean channel. I'm just explaining to you here. I've got the black hole for just a little bit of reverb to make it more interesting to listen to. And I am playing through the Torpedo Captor X right now with the official ENGL 4x12 XXL impulse responses, dyne IRs, with a single dyne 57 microphone on the cabinet. That's it. That's all I got loaded. Sounds a little bit like this. Okay, and everything here is down the middle. Now let's go ahead and disengage and re-engage the bright spits. Bright button. How about that? So as you would expect, the bright button gives it a little bit more high-end boost, a bit more attack. You probably want the bright button if you want to have that more glassy type of sound. With cleans, I actually like. And the clean channel here, as you would expect, is very ENGL. Sounds fantastic, very clean, obviously, but it's very atmospheric when you put the right reverb on here. Like I said, I'm just using black hole with stock settings. Let's go ahead and shape this a little bit more. So as you can see here, the clean and the lead share the same. Why can't I speak English? It's ridiculous. The clean and the lead channels here share the same tone stack, except for the lead presence, which does nothing when the clean channel is enabled. Okay, not doing anything because it's not engaged unless you have the lead channel engaged. So let's just check this out. I'm just going to scoop the mids a little bit, add a little bit more high end on top, and maybe some low end. So obviously, I can't play guitar for crap, but you have a really good idea of what the clean sounds like. Come on. Awesome. Now, I suppose if you wanted, you could already start adding overdrive and get the clean overdrive type of sound, but no, this is a metal channel, so we're going to get off the clean channel now. I like the clean channel. I used it in the demo song just to have a reason to use it. But really, let's see what we can do on the lead channel here. So let's just turn the low gain A off, which I like to do. And let's switch the gain to the high B. I need to switch from this to this, and we should have now. So this is just what the amp sounds like, completely tone stacked down the middle, no tube screamer, okay? Drop A. Dude, that's ridiculous. And again, no tube screamer. Drop A. This is always a great guitar to test amps to see what the low end is like, because it's a really low tuned guitar. And if you have any problems like softness or looseness in the low end, like flubbiness at stocks, I think everything down the middle, usually you're going to find out pretty quick if you're going to need the tube screamer or not. Now, ironically, I don't know if we're going to need the tube screamer here. Let's try and just dial this in a little bit. So what I'm doing when I do this little riffs like that is I'm checking for pick clarity and note definition. Can I hear every note? Is it actually articulated? In my experience, it's really hard for an amp to be able to catch every single note in a drop A tuning without an overdrive pedal, some kind of boost, or some kind of EQ in front. This is basically why ENGLs are my favorite amps brands, hands down. Even though I've been able to try some awesome amps while doing this channel, I always go back to the ENGL because it just has the low end that I'm looking for. Now let's go ahead and engage the, actually before we engage the overdrive here, let's talk about the shape button right here. The shape button is going to shift and boost the mids and boost the mids in a different region, giving the mids a more tonal character. So right now, the amp itself is pretty scooped, even without scooping the mids with the middle. So it already has a pretty scooped sound signature. Watch what happens when I push the shape button in. Like I was saying when I started the video, this thing is very easy to use. It is simple, and it's a riff machine. Like I said, if you're a little bit overwhelmed with the ENGL Savage that I have behind there, and you just want something simpler, ta-da! The Artist Edition is literally what you're looking for. It has the aggressiveness and the balls that I'm particularly looking for, you know, all the time. I really like the way this amp sounds. And it's just very easy to use. It's simple to dial in. It's not like the Hot Rod, you know, when I talked about the ENGL Savage, where you kind of got to mess with it and fuck with it and twiddle the knobs and be like, oh my God, what does this do? This is way more forgiving in terms of kind of setting it and ripping it along. But still, though, I still think the key with the ENGL amps here is really getting the lead presence and the treble correct, which is why I start with the lead presence. For example, if we go back and dial this thing from the start, and I'm actually going to engage the overdrive pedal now. So it definitely thinned out the low end a little bit. Let me just make sure I show you guys the settings. So there are the settings. It's actually a very neutral setting where the balance is right down the middle. So there's really no boost. It's pretty much a very neutral overdrive setting. All right, let's go ahead and dial this in now. I'm going to start from the lead presence, and I'm pretty much going to work my way backwards. I really believe that getting the relationship between the lead presence and the treble is kind of the key to making sure that the ENGL does what you want, which is to have the balls in the low end with that top end presence, soft presence clarity. So, ironically, I think that the Tube Screamer has kind of dug out too much low end, and I almost kind of prefer the amp without the Tube Screamer. But we can add a little bit more low end and gain to kind of make up for this. So when I dial in the amp here, I'm basically waiting for the part where the depth and the girth comes back into the guitar tone where it's not so thin sounding. Really thin like this. So what I'm listening for that, but I'm trying to get the feel that when I'm playing Chug Chugs, there's some weight behind it. Like, oh man, I'm dragging a really heavy chain or something like that. And that's kind of the feeling I get here. So let's add a little bit more gain. So with the gain, what I was listening for there is you can hear how it becomes very saturated. And I want to add just as much gain, but not to the point where I start losing note clarity. You can hear every single note that I'm doing there, right? I love ENGL amps, guys. ENGL amps are easily my favorites, my most favoritist ever amp brand, and you just heard why. So my final 2 cents really about this amp is it's worth every penny. I really want to say this again, like if you want a very simple, just easy to dial in amp that has tight low end, really good note definition with low tuned guitars, and it's quite versatile actually. You do have a low gain here for more overdriven tones. This is a metal channel. I don't really care about overdriven guitar tones. I mean, they exist. Show it to you really quick. So here's overdriven more so. Not for me, but again, if you are doing more of how can I do this? If you're doing more of that kind of stuff, this can do that. Okay, it's a bit more saturated, a bit more fat, but again, I don't spend any time working overdrive tones whatsoever. I'm pretty much in high gain land, which I believe ENGL does pretty freaking well, really well. So yeah, again, final thoughts. This is an absolute riff machine, brutal monster. It works perfectly with the Torpedo Captor X. Just plug in the speaker cable in the back into the Captor X, and it's just simple, man. So again, if you want that ENGL sound, but you don't really want the ENGL Savage because it's too complicated, or you want something simpler and maybe something a bit more British voiced because of the EL34s, so on and so forth, definitely have a look at the Artist Edition. This thing rips butthole. It's awesome. I like it. So there you go. All right, guys, that'll do it for the video. I did want to say a special thank you to Jürgen out at ENGL. They did not give me the amp, but they gave me a very good deal on the amp, and I bought it. I couldn't pass upon the deal. Thank you to Jürgen for all the support, especially over these last 2 years. You know, there's a bit of a history behind, you know, ENGL and I. They actually sent an Iron Ball SE out to me in Kiev, which was a big pain in the dick for them. They spent a lot of money sending it to me. I will always appreciate ENGL for taking a chance on me and allowing me into their family when they didn't have to. Especially at that time, it really it was hit or miss for them, and I'll never forget that. So Jürgen and everyone at ENGL, seriously, thank you for the support, and especially over the last 2 years of helping me get on my feet. Meeting you guys at Guitar Summit last year was an absolute dream, was amazing. So as a company as well, just I think they treat their people okay. They treat their people right. They've treated me right, and their products are fucking really good, especially for metal, death metal in particular. Speaking of death metal, my death metal mixing course is just out, still in promo price. Definitely check that out. Link down below. But yeah, ENGL Artist Edition, it's legit. Go get it.